If someone can control your emotions, they can control your decisions. And if they can control your decisions, they can quietly control your life. That's the key. Most people don't realize how much power they hand away every day. Not with money, not with time, with emotion. A comment ruins their mood. A delay triggers frustration. A disagreement steals their focus. And suddenly, someone else is driving their inner world. You have a choice. But first, you must accept a hard truth. No one enters your mind without your permission. They may speak, they may act, they may provoke. But whether that reaches your inner state is up to you. Most people confuse stimulus with control. They think because something happened, they must react. That's a lie. Stimulus is external. Control is internal. And disciplined people protect their internal state aggressively. That's the difference. The undisciplined mind says, they made me angry, they ruined my mood, they stressed me out. No, you allowed it. That's not blame, that's power. Because what you allow, you can stop allowing. You don't need their permission to remain calm. You don't need approval to stay centered. You don't need validation to be unshaken. You have a choice. Other people will always test you, intentionally or unintentionally. Criticism, disrespect, silence, comparison. These are not attacks. They are tests. Tests of emotional ownership. And most people fail them repeatedly. They argue to defend ego. They explain to seek approval. They react to feel seen. But emotional independence means this. You stop needing other people to cooperate with your peace. That's the key. The moment you need someone else to behave differently for you to be calm, you have already lost control. Calm that depends on others is not calm. It's fragile. Disciplined calm comes from within. This is why strong people are hard to offend. Not because they don't feel, but because they don't attach meaning impulsively. They don't personalize everything. They don't assume intent. They don't hand strangers emotional authority. They observe. Observation creates distance. Distance creates clarity. Clarity creates power. You have a choice. The next time someone triggers you, pause and ask, why does this matter so much to me? Not emotionally, strategically. Often the answer is ego, or insecurity, or the need to be right. And here's the truth most people avoid. Needing to be right is expensive. It costs focus. It costs energy. It costs momentum. The disciplined mind values progress over pride. That's the key. You don't need their permission to disengage. You don't need approval to walk away mentally. You don't need validation to stay silent. Silence is not weakness. It is ownership. When you don't react, you reclaim control. This applies to criticism. Not all criticism deserves response. Not all opinions deserve weight. Not all voices deserve space in your mind. You choose what enters. That's discipline. Ask yourself, is this feedback useful? If yes, extract the lesson calmly. If no, discard it without emotion. Emotionless filtering is mastery. Most people absorb everything emotionally. That's why they're exhausted. Calm people filter ruthlessly. That's the difference. You have a choice. This also applies to comparison. Comparison is one of the most subtle forms of emotional theft. You see someone else's progress, and suddenly your inner state shifts. Doubt, impatience, frustration. But comparison only works when you forget your lane. Disciplined people stay in their lane. They don't rush their timeline. They don't measure themselves against highlights. They don't abandon focus to chase appearances. They understand this truth. Someone else winning does not mean you are losing. That's the key. Your inner state must be guarded like a strategic asset, because it fuels your decisions, your consistency, your persistence. When other people control it, your life becomes reactive. When you control it, your life becomes intentional. This is why emotionally independent people feel grounded. They don't swing wildly between highs and lows. They don't depend on praise to perform. They don't collapse under criticism. They are steady. Steadiness is power, and steadiness is trained. You train it by refusing to emotionally chase reactions. You train it by delaying response. You train it by choosing calm over commentary. You don't need their permission to be composed. That phrase matters, because many people wait for permission to grow up emotionally. They wait for apologies, for recognition, for fairness. Discipline doesn't wait. Discipline decides. You have a choice. When someone disrespects you, you can react and lose focus, or remain calm and keep momentum. When someone doubts you, you can explain or continue building. When someone ignores you, you can seek attention or stay centered. It's not about emotion. It's about discipline. That's the key. The strongest shift you can make is this. Stop asking, why did they do this to me? Start asking, why am I letting this move me? That question restores control immediately. This does not mean you tolerate mistreatment. It means you respond strategically, not emotionally. Response is chosen. Reaction is automatic. An automatic behavior never leads to exceptional results. You are training yourself to become unshakable, not cold, not detached, unshakable. Unshakable people move differently, think differently, win differently. They don't outsource their inner state, they own it. You've learned to stop reacting. You've learned to think calmly. You've learned to protect your inner world from outside control. Now it's time to build something deeper, because emotional control alone is not enough. You must sustain it, over time, under pressure, without applause. That requires something rare, persistence. You've reclaimed ownership of your inner state. Now let's talk about what keeps you moving forward when emotion fades.